Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Miller, and I want to welcome you all to this edition of Dermcast.live. I am a dermatology PA practicing in Gadsden, Alabama, and I have been in dermatology for 14 years. And today I am very excited to have the distinct honor to interview Todd Zavodnick. He is the CEO of Dermavant Science. So Todd, welcome. It's so great to have you today.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Thanks for having me here.
You're welcome. So let's just kind of dive in. I'm really excited to kind of get to know you and let the audience get to know you. So you have a really diverse background, really both professionally and personally. Tell me about yourself, your background. I know you've lived in several countries and worked for several different companies. And I know all of that had to play a role in your leadership style, especially at Dermavant. So tell us about yourself and then talk to us about Dermavant and who Dermavant is, because I know they really are a startup and our audience is going to want to know.
Absolutely. No, thanks. And, so my background for me, I grew up in the Northeast in Philadelphia, really started in the background of pharmacology, coming out of university. And then, professionally spent 14 years at Alcon, both in the US and in Asia, living in China. And I spent the last 11 years in dermatology, which I've loved. And that's been with companies such as Galderma and Zeltiq, Revance, and most recently, the last 4 years as CEO of Dermavant Sciences. So I've had the chance to live around the world in multiple continents and, really experience, our largest organ, the skin, across the world and understand it. And I think leading to Dermavant, for me, as CEO, it's really our mission, our focus has been to really provide healthier skin to millions of people around the world and really ensure that we're bringing transformational changes within the fields of immunodermatology.
So you talked about having years of experience in both dermatology and aesthetics. Obviously, I have a passion for dermatology, as do most of our viewers. So what kind of drove you to dermatology? What is it about dermatology that you love?
I think it starts with the people, both the healthcare providers as well as the industry and the people within the space. It's a personal space. It's a space where everybody does know everybody, regardless of the continent you're on. Dermatology is intimate. Many people have trained or grew up within the space together over the years. And it is our largest organ. I always say the skin is sort of our CV or our resume to the world. And it's special. So I think dermatology is something where I love learning on a day-to-day basis and seeing how healthcare providers really are personalizing their approach to their patient and constantly looking for innovation. And I think that's where it's always driven me in leadership roles to see if we can bring it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's very relationship driven, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much as well. So let's kind of get back to the talk of really the last few months. So one of my passions is psoriasis, and there's really been an unmet need and lack of innovation for a really long time. So it's been about 25 years, a little over 25 years since the FDA has approved a new molecule for plaque psoriasis. But yet there has been a lot of innovation with systemics and biologics. So over 3 months ago, the FDA approved your new product, Vtama. It's the first-in-class topical therapy for adults with plaque psoriasis. So talk to us about Vtama. What is it? What makes it different? And why would why would healthcare providers want to try this? What makes it novel?
Yeah, sure. No, first off, thanks. It's maybe I'll take one step back and just say I'm extremely proud of the entire Dermavant organization, all 262 employees. I mean, everybody has worked extremely hard over the last 4 years to get this molecule forward for patients. You said it, a novel chemical entity. So as an aryl hydrocarbon receptor agonist, it's really the first of its kind. So true, pure innovation. And Vtama, tapinarof 1% cream, truly developed for dermatology. And that to me is remarkable in that it comes as a topical cream, cosmetically elegant, once a day, and it's not coming from another area of medicine. It's solely developed for dermatology overall. So getting into it, as I said, an aryl hydrocarbon receptor agonist, basically what it does is it really downregulates cytokines, it upregulates barrier proteins or skin barrier proteins, it upregulates NRF2, and this allows tapinarof to provide, positive results for plaque psoriasis for adults 18 and older, mild, moderate, and severe psoriasis. It can be applied to all affective areas of the skin. Really, the messaging that we've shared with people like yourself is we're delivering powerful efficacy, results that last, and this product is really safe and well tolerated across all of our pivotals and our long-term safety. So for us, we're bringing new product in a once-a-day, cosmetically elegant, non-steroid topical. And I think that's been remarkable for all of us at Dermavant. It's been a dream for us the last 4 years.
So Todd, once the FDA approves a drug, then we talk about availability and how patients and providers are able to have access to it. So tell us about that and how Dermavant is ensuring that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as I shared, it's our 14th week since launch. And if we step back to the day we got approval, on May 23rd, it's really our commitment was, first off, it wasn't just get approval, it was get the FDA approval and have product available within 24 to 48 hours across 88,000 pharmacies within the United States. And that means in dermatology, Lauren, which is it's not just the big box pharmacy, it's the specialty pharmacy, which we understand, I believe, better than anybody. And that's what we did. We had product in the market within 24 to 48 hours. We educated and unlocked our My Vtama program, which offers access for patients covered or uncovered within their current list of insurance across the United States, which I think is extremely important. And our goal was really just to ensure a predictable experience. And I think a lot of our executives were in the field in these first few weeks discussing with healthcare providers, really what is the My Vtama program? Where can they get the product? And I think what you heard from most providers, or I did, was how were you able to get approval on Monday and product in the channel on Wednesday? That's some amazing work, and that shows the organization, the preparation, and the execution of Dermavant. So for us, that's really our focus, not just at launch, but for the years to come, is to show consistent, pristine manufacturing and supply, which is important, both of our samples and of our trade size, and ensure that we provide all of you, a predictable experience, whether it's at a specialty independent retail pharmacy or it's at a larger big box pharmacy across the United States today. And that's what we've done, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Yeah, as a provider, it's great to have a new product. It's great to have a product that is efficacious and it's safe, that patients like, but if they can't get it, then it goes to waste. So it's nice to know that Dermavant has thought ahead to this access program, and trying to ensure that that's something that is maintained and that patients are able to continue to get this down the road for their refills and things.
Absolutely. I think the last point I'll make on this, and you've said it to me in the past, is dermatology in 2022 is more than just sales and marketing and education. It is access, and you can't just build an organization of sales and marketing. You have to have deep expertise in the field of access, that is truly differentiated from anybody else. And I know we have that at Dermavant, which makes it very special to ensure we not only provide the patient and the healthcare provider the predictable experience, but we're also able to ensure that Dermavant is successful from a financial perspective, short, mid, and long term, so we can consistently bring innovation over time to the space and be around here a long time to come.
So it sounds like it's novel for more than one reason, more than just because it's a new molecule. It sounds like there's several reasons why this is different from everything else that's on the market, which I think patients will love, providers will love, and really there's not been anything new. And so to be able to talk to them about all of these novel characteristics about this drug, specifically the remittive effect, I think is something that patients will enjoy, just being able to have, like, we'll call it like a drug holiday, to where they don't have to think about their disease. So I think that's another reason why it's really novel as well. And then like you said, being able to apply it to all body parts, that's really interesting. Because often we have to give patients more than one medication in order for them to cover all the areas that are affected. So it's really interesting. So I know you talked about how proud you are of your company and all the work that they've done. Dermavant, it is a startup, and they've come out with a new molecule, the first one in over 25 years. So obviously this had to be a labor of love. And, this happened a lot during the pandemic. So talk to me about the process and how you guys maneuvered during the pandemic, and just you and your team and how you pivoted, and if that affected the launch in any way.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, it's something I'm proud to talk about. It's not just Dermavant that did that. I mean, there's other companies that are launching in the dermatology space, topicals, orals, injectables, that did the same thing, and they all deserve credit. I'm just proud of my team specifically in that, there were 60 of us that worked through the pandemic. And, as a startup company, phase 3 clinical trials are expensive, and they're expensive investments. And we have a commitment to the patient, to get this medicine through. And I think what we saw was we executed our trials for our Soaring 1 and 2 trial, our pivotals for the FDA, as well as Soaring 3 in the US and Canada in 100 sites, all of which were dermatology specific. Probably some of your listeners were partaking in those trials. I made sure as CEO of Dermavant that my employees were safe and taken care of, and that we were intimately interacting with all of our sites to make sure that they were personally taken care of and shown the deepest level of respect during a time where, Vtama or tapinarof wasn't the most important thing. And we had to make sure we were respectful and thoughtful of them and their families, our employees, through the whole process. So I think that was step one for us, which we did. I think the feedback qualitatively through the study was very positive of, patients were blinded in a 2-to-1 fashion and randomized in a 2-to-1 fashion throughout the study. And we just did everything we could to support it. I think in addition to that, there's a lot of regulatory work that went in. We submitted our NDA in May of 2021. And as a novel chemical entity, that's a 12-month review process, but the team worked extremely hard. And, again, the thing that I say, Lauren, is that people are everything. And while we have a great product that I believe has an opportunity to truly help patients in a novel way, people of this company are what make it special. Our values are heart, mind, and soul. The average tenure in dermatology of a Dermavant employee is 14 years. People have been in this space and they understand what it takes. And it's really that heart, mind, and soul. It's that grit that got this over the finish line. And now, we're in our 14th week of launch, and Vtama is currently the #1 prescribed branded topical in the psoriatic space. And I'm extremely proud of that.
You should definitely be proud of that. That's amazing. So speaking of topicals, the current gold standard is topical steroids, and it has been for quite some time. But we all know that there's some limitations around that option. So talk to me about where you see Vtama fitting into the treatment plan, the treatment algorithm.
Yeah, no, it's a fair question, and I think, I've been asked it many times. I think when you look at Vtama, that's really the starting point. I think a lot of physicians are going to see from an efficacy perspective, a durability and remittance perspective, that we have a chance to be first line when prescribing for patients that in the past that would have used steroids. And I think this is going to be perfect for Vtama and what we studied. We'll have now, as I said, in week 14 of launch, a whole litany of phase 4 and investigated initiated trials that will go deeper into learning within the psoriatic indication.
Now you talk about, when a patient with psoriasis, we never want to have to sacrifice efficacy for safety or vice versa. And that seems to be something that Dermavant is really stressing, that with Vtama, that's not the case. So do you have anything to talk about in regards to that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have no warnings and precautions. We have no contraindications with the molecule. I think the adverse events that we're seeing most frequently reside around folliculitis or nasopharyngitis, contact dermatitis, pruritus or influenza, and those were throughout our phase 3 clinical trials. I think one of the approaches, and I'll go back and say, we see minimal systemic absorption with tapinarof, which was seen in our maximal use PK studies that we've published. I think what's important for our company that we did was a little different, was in our phase 3 clinical trials, we took our 3 most common adverse events that we saw in our phase 2s, which were folliculitis, contact derm, and headache, and we called them out as adverse events of special interest. And we asked our 100 sites to look for them. That's very atypical in phase 3 studies or execution. And we thought it was important. These are local skin reactions. And we said, look, we believe we're delivering powerful efficacy, durability, and remittance, but we want to ensure that our clinical profile within our soaring 1, 2, and 3, ensured that commercially that we're seeing the same thing, that we're not having any surprises. And I think it was important for us to have these adverse events of special interest called out. And that's what we did, Lauren.
So, as a clinician, a drug can be very effective. It can be safe, but if a patient doesn't like it, if they don't like the way it feels, if they don't like the way it smells, things like that, if it's not tolerable, if the patient is not satisfied, then they're not going to use it. So you've kind of touched on this already, but talk to me, because I know you did a patient survey. Talk to me about what the patient's responses were when you did that.
Yeah, and maybe I'll take one step back. So for the audience is, our 2 pivotal trials included 1,025 patients, which was obviously a 2-to-1 randomization of active versus vehicle. At the end of 12 weeks, which was our primary endpoint, where I shared we saw active 6 times greater than the vehicle within our 2 pivotals, we gave everybody the opportunity to make a choice. Do you want to roll over into our next 40-week period of our long-term safety study? And that was remarkable for us, because 92% of the patients that finished at week 12 chose to stay and move into the long-term safety trial. So I start there. In dermatology, there are loads of topical, oral, and injectable trials going on. It takes 4 weeks to wash out a topical clinical trial, and 92% of patients that finished at week 12 voted to stay on Vtama tapinarof 1% cream. So that starts there for me. I think the other thing was that we did within our long-term trial was at the end of 40 weeks, we administered a patient questionnaire, and that questionnaire was more of exactly what you said. So, 86% said they could manage their plaque psoriasis, 84% felt that Vtama cream worked. I think we had over 83.6 were not only happy with how it worked, but we had similar numbers to non-greasy. And I think that's really where, when I said that Vtama was built for derm only, you're really focused on cosmetic elegance. And when you have a disease like plaque psoriasis, whether it's mild, moderate, or severe, you need sort of a cosmetically elegant cream that won't ruin clothing, that doesn't have an odor, that the man or woman enjoys, that will use once a day or whatever prescribed for the physician. And I think that's what we focused on at Dermavant, being sort of the immunoderm company.
Yeah, so it seems like you not only focused on efficacy and safety, but also tolerability, and just patient satisfaction. When we talk about topicals, vehicle is everything, right? So it can be safe, it can be effective, but if the patient doesn't like the way it feels, especially when we're talking about patients that are using this on sensitive areas, their hands that they're working with all day, their scalp, things like that. If they don't like that vehicle and the way that it feels, then they're not going to use it, and thus they're not going to get better. So I like that you have it really focused on that vehicle, and I love the term cosmetically elegant. So
Well, thanks. I think the one thing I'll share in your point you just made is it's one of the reasons I chose Dermavant. Not only could we build a company from the ground up with truly amazing people, but it's a product that is when we say innovation, it's setting really what we say 5 attributes that are very different. And that's, in the days past, you used to deliver in dermatology just efficacy and safety. In 2022 now, everybody has a higher bar set by Dermavant, which is you have to deliver efficacy, you have to deliver durability on treatment, meaning no tachyphylaxis over time coming on and off drug. I think third is our remittance factor, which is when you stop therapy, once you're clear, patients are staying clear for a median average of 4 months. And then it is that safety and that tolerability. And we did allow application on any part of the body through our trials, sensitive areas as well as the trunk. And we did score it, from a patient and from a physician standpoint, whether it was under the arm, skin folds, groin, anal crew, and so on. So really all of these, these sensitive areas of the body were tested. So that's the new standard for us, I think, is these 5 areas. And I'm really proud that we've been able to really highlight them at Dermavant.
So was that something that you did purposefully, or did you stumble across these things that kind of then you feel like is setting this new standard and setting new expectations for what's possible? Was that your plan all along?
I wish I could say it, but this clinical, preclinical CMC team is remarkable. It was their work. It wasn't my work. It was Dr. Phil Brown. It was Dr. David Rubenstein. It was Paul Seebeck, our VP of Tech Ops, Elaine Clark, our VP of Regulatory. Yeah, I mean, to date, there's 2,200 patients and 18 clinical trials for tapinarof 1% cream that's been done in its lifetime. And we knew what we had from a molecule perspective. I think we knew that we not only had efficacy and safety, but it was important when we design our clinical trials that we mimic the real world as best as possible. And I think that's the focus of why we were a little bit different at Dermavant, in that we really focused to ensure our clinical environment could mimic as much as possible the commercial environment, to avoid surprises for healthcare providers that say, why wasn't this seen in the clinical trial? Why wasn't this looked at? And I think for us, we were focused on the attributes of efficacy, durability, remittance, and safety is included. And I think tolerability, as you said many times, in dermatology, it has to be cosmetically elegant. Otherwise, the patient's going to tell you week 1, day 1 of launch. And to date, at our most recent earnings call, which was back in August, we shared, that we've driven 14,000 plus prescriptions and over 3,000 unique writers. And that's even grown since then. We know we have a cosmetically elegant option for patients.
So obviously we're just getting launched, or you're getting launched with Vtama, and there's still so much room for growth. But what else does Dermavant have up their sleeve? What do you have coming in the future? What are your plans moving forward?
Yeah, no, it's great. I wish it's funny when we hear that question, I always smile because, we're only 14 weeks into launch of a product that we spent 4 years of our lives developing, and we haven't even started, on the impact we're gonna have on patients' lives with plaque psoriasis. What's going on right now is, as you know well, and we've said in the public domain that we're currently executing in the United States and Canada within 100 sites, our atopic dermatitis adoring trial. That is two trials, 400 patients each, occurring again, US and Canada, down to the age of 2, which I think is remarkable. And we'll go through the proper process. We've said we expect results to be announced in the first half of 2023. That's been in the public domain. I think we've also shared we have some earlier AHR molecules that we've called our molecule name of 506 that we're looking at for various disease states in immunology and inflammation. And these are very early preclinical work that we'll look at. And, those are big things. I think when you take a breath there and you say, in the medical dermatology world that we're in, this globe, that we look at $40 billion plus marketplace, and 75% of the value resides in psoriasis and atopic dermatitis. And with Vtama tapinarof 1% cream, we have psoriasis approved, and we have phase 3 clinical trials ongoing in AD, along with other companies that are launching non-steroidal agents of different mechanisms. We have a really good chance, all of these companies, to really shift the market away from steroids to agents that truly can bring benefit to patients. And for me, that gets me excited, not just at Dermavant, but to be respectful of the other companies. They're working just as hard. And I think it takes more than one to change a paradigm. And I think that's really what's going to be fun from 2022 and the years ahead, as all of us as CEOs and companies work together to do this.
Yeah, I know as a provider and somebody that's passionate about psoriasis and atopic derm, I'm excited to kind of see the landscape change and kind of almost kind of flip on a dime. I'm excited about that. So, Dermavant, you're, a fairly, we'd call you a small startup, but it seems like you've got plans to make a big impact. So I'm excited to see what you have coming next. So, well, Todd, it has been a pleasure speaking with you and learning about Dermavant and Vtama. So is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with before we go?
Just to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to interact with our organization. And I think what you'll see from Dermavant, Lauren, and you have seen, is a commitment to truly bring white glove service, white glove interactions, and just truly a respect at the highest level that, we're excited to see what Vtama can do for your patients with plaque psoriasis, whether it's mild, moderate, or severe, and work with you to transform patients' lives. And we are 100% committed, and we know the space very well. So we're excited to bring a predictable experience.